Yeah, what up? Um, shit. Hold up. Sorry I'm late. Number one, and number two. Let me turn this music back up just a little bit. But anyway, without further ado, I like to say to y'all, let me not advertise nobody's business. They got it on both sides, so yeah, I don't want to advertise nobody's business. I ain't getting paid for that shit. So, um, let me before I get started, I just want to say to y'all, thanks for coming in. If you're already in, please, with all due respect, please hit up either Facebook or YouTube. Please, I am streaming from both, so um, let me see. Where's all my other stuff at? All right. Just a moment. I'm just getting some stuff situated real fast. Last minute stuff. So I'm sorry about that. Number one. Um, I got a good show waiting for y'all, so be patient. Just give me a minute. Just that's all I need right now is a minute. We'll start the clock right now. Give me a minute. All right. So to start today's show off, thank you for coming in. If you in here, I got a good show waiting for y'all. It's took me damn near since I woke up this morning to get this situated and everything, and I'll be giving y'all some hard hitting stuff. So yeah, man, I'll tell you. Has anybody watched or should I say, has anyone this week watched the Derek Chauvin case? Um, so yeah, the Derek Chauvin case was this week. And I don't need to see that shit anymore. So yeah, the Derek Chauvin case was this week. And I hope everybody who went out and marched last year watched the case, because this week was just it was just the beginning. So let me fix my mic as well. All right. All right. So this week the was week one of the Derek Chauvin case. If anyone needs a refresher, Derek Chauvin was the guy that killed George Floyd. He was the guy that was actually on his neck. So, yeah, man. I watched the whole thing. I watched all week of it. So, I don't know. Let's just get into it. So, first things first, subscribe, like, and share this video to anyone that you know right now. Do it right now. If you're on Facebook, hit the share button. Just type "my boys on doing this podcast." Come check it out. Send that bitch out. If you're on YouTube, come to YouTube, watch it, like. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe. Why I keep forgetting that? Because I don't think I have it up anymore. Anyway, I had like a little button where it would say subscribe or whatever. But anyway, um, yeah, share the video to any of your social medias. Get the word out. Trying to build up my subscribers. Uh, it's the start of April. I have 42 YouTube subscribers. I want to get at least. I want to get to 75 subscribers by the end of this month. So, everyone, please get on that. Get the word out if you watch. Um, and if you could, um, if you not have already done so, please hit up any of the two social medias that I have. Go to Instagram at marcus.speaks.podcast or go to Facebook to my personal page if you're interested in, just posting something or saying hi to me. Go to on Facebook, go to Marcus Speaks. And then I have a little YouTube group for the podcast. It's called Marcus Speaks PC or Marcus Speaks Podcast. Either or, I think we'll find it. So just type it into the search bar and it'll be right there. And please don't be shy, okay? Just, write something in the comment section, any of the two comment sections. I'm going to see them either or because of where I'm streaming at. So don't be shy. Type something in. I'm gonna see both of them. Facebook is gonna randomly come to me. I'm on YouTube. Like I said, I can see those comments. So if you could just go ahead and hit that up. Let me take this down. And without further ado, like I always do, I have to put this little prompt up for the simple fact that some of the source material that I'm using is not mine, but I am gonna put this up for the simple fact that I am trying to put out my point of what I've seen. So, without further ado, federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. YouTube, did you hear that? Facebook, did you hear that? The reason why is this is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which does not infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107. Now that I got that shit out the way. All right. So, let me get this up first. So, the person I am speaking of tonight is this individual. Let me share my screen with you. I'm sharing this guy, this person that's on your screen right now. This Derek Chauvin, as we known last year, he killed George Floyd, and not only that, he was charged. So what he was charged with, and let me take this down. What he was charged with was he was charged with second degree murder, unintentional while committing a felony, third degree murder, perpetuating admittedly dangerous act, and a vicing deprived mind. I don't know what that means, but anyway, second degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating unreasonable risk. So everything that we've seen on the video is what he did. So I'm gonna get into all of this tonight, and if you guys didn't see the trial, I'm basically gonna give you guys my thoughts about what happened, and I'm gonna give you guys my basically my what I seen. So the presiding judge on this case is let me show his picture. The presiding judge over this, his name is Judge Peter Cahill. I think that's how you say it. Cahill, something like that. It's probably Cahill, but anyway. The presiding judge over the case is Judge Peter Cahill from basically he looks like he doesn't take any shit. I'm gonna tell y'all something about what he did to one of the witnesses, and just his overall demeanor when it comes to like this case, because he did allow um news cameras to be in the courtroom, as well as I think he has two reporters that, or he has several reporters, but only two reporters can be in the courtroom at a time. So I'm guessing either each day or they rotate after each break. That's just what I got from that. So that's the presiding judge. That's over the case. Um, Let me take this down so I can see what else I'm about to show y'all. Ain't nothing crazy this week like it was last week, but so the the defense team is comprised, well, not the defense, but the attorneys, both the prosecuting and the defense attorneys. So, from what I've seen so far, if you can see at the second person to the right, or I mean the left, the second person to the left is one of the guys, Matthew Frank. He's one of the guys that's been in the courtroom, and also Jerry Blackwell is a prosecuting attorney that also has been in the courtroom. So Jerry Blackwell is the guy that well, hold on. Before I get to that, I'll get to everyone else as well. So also Nick, I wonder if y'all can see my. Okay, you can. So this guy right here, Eric Nelson, he's the defense attorney, one of the defense attorneys for Derek Chauvin. And from what my mind can remember, I think this lady right here, Erin Eldridge, she's also in the courtroom, as well as I think this lady is their legal aid, I'm guessing, on the trial. Um, but that's for the defense, but also for the prosecuting. This guy right here, Stephen Schiller. I think that's his name, Stephen Schiller. He's also in the courtroom with everyone. You don't really get to see who's on their side as much because the way that each camera is positioned is not to show who the jury is or who's in the the I won't say the audience, but who's in the general bench area where people sit or whatever. So they strategically put cameras places. So basically, there's a camera on the witness stand. The judge, I think, has a camera on him, but the witness camera can also pick him up as well. And then there's a camera that's facing where each attorney stands and asks the witnesses questions or whatever. So those are the three prosecuting attorneys that are in the courtroom, as well as Eric Nelson, Aaron Eldridge, and I think this lady right here is inside the courtroom. If it's not this person, it's Amy Voss. I think it's Amy Voss that's there. So either one of these two, they're also in the courtroom along with Aaron Eldridge and Eric Nelson. So let me get off of here. Let me go to my next picture when I get to it. All right. So, um, so the jury was selected before the case, and from what I understand, I think they picked the jury maybe like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, and the the jury they basically don't show them. From what I was getting at, they basically don't show them for the simple fact that they don't want them. The courtroom on behalf of Judge uh, Peter Cahill or Cohill or whatever, how the fuck you say his name, whatever. He doesn't want them to be harassed, or he doesn't want the news media to interview them at any point in time, because as you know, if you're a juror on a case, number one, you're not allowed to speak about the case. You're not allowed to do interviews. And from what he told them, He doesn't want them watching the news at all either, for the simple fact that this is what they're talking about. But along with this, something happened yesterday, and I think I'll briefly talk about that at the end of this, just briefly, like probably like a minute or two. And basically, they don't want them having any type of added discussions about this case that may hurt the case itself. So, with that, um, the jury is kind of, you know what I mean, like the jury is made up of, some people that all, when they took the surveys, they all said in their survey that they are willing to listen, and that they have an open mind about the case of what they want to talk about. I mean, they have an open mind of what they want to hear and what the attorneys have to say about the case. So the jury is comprised of, let's see. So the jury is made up of two biracial people. We have four black jury members, and there are 9 white jury members with 3 alternates. So and we don't even know who the race is of the alternates. We just know that there are uh two biracial, 4 black, and 9 white. And out of within the whole jury of, genders concerned, there are 9 women and 5 men in this case. So we might see some sort of a sway, maybe, of how the females view the case itself and the lawyers themselves. So, I guess it'll be females taking in a lot of info when it comes to this case. So, prosecuting attorney General Jerry Blackwell, he had a very nice way of how he put his opening arguments. And hold up, let me start from the beginning. I didn't know that this video was no, that's not the one I wanted. So the prosecuting attorney had a very good way of how he okay, I'm gonna start that from the beginning. Okay, sorry. So yeah, the prosecuting attorney, I keep saying that, he had a very good he had a very good like way how he started the case off. Like with his opening his opening argument. Put that in the TV. I'm not unprepared. I'm just sitting here trying to get everything to work properly. That's all. So anyway, so yeah, he he had a real good way of how he put his opening statements, and I'm gonna let you guys hear it yourself.
case is important to all the participants, and you should give your undivided.
Let y'all hear a piece of it. I'm not going to let y'all hear all of it.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good morning. My name is Jerry Blackwell, and I apologize for talking to you through this plexiglass, but it's probably the least of the gifts that the pandemic has given us. You want to learn in this case a lot about what it means to be a public servant and to have the honor of wearing this badge. It's a small badge that carries with it a large responsibility and a large accountability to the public. What does it stand for? It represents the very motto of the Minneapolis Police Department: to protect with courage, to serve with compassion. But it also represents the essence of the Minneapolis Police Department approach to the use of force against its citizens when appropriate. The sanctity of life and the protection of the public shall be the cornerstones of the Minneapolis Police Department's use of force. Compassion, sanctity of life, cornerstones, and that little badge is worn right over the officer's heart. But you're also going to learn that the officers take an oath when they become police officers. They take an oath that I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately, and as you will learn, as applies to this case, never employing unnecessary force or violence. And not only that, I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as a public trust to be held so long as I am true to the ethics of police service. Symbol of public faith, ethics to police service, sanctity of life, all of this matters tremendously to this case, because you will learn that on May 25th of 2020, Mr. Derek Chauvin betrayed this badge when he used excessive and unreasonable force upon the body of Mr. George Floyd. That he put his knees upon his neck and his back, grinding and crushing him until the very breath, no, ladies and gentlemen, until the very life were squeezed out of him. You will learn that he was well aware that Mr. Floyd was unarmed, that Mr. Floyd had not threatened anyone, that Mr. Floyd was in handcuffs, he was completely in the control of the police, he was defenseless. You will learn what happened in that 9 minutes and 29 seconds. The most important numbers you will hear in this trial are 929. What happened in those 9 minutes and 29 seconds when Mr. Derek Chauvin was applying this excessive force to the body of Mr. George Floyd. We have two objectives in this trial, ladies and gentlemen. The first objective is to give Mr. Chauvin a fair trial. Mr. Chauvin has a presumption of innocence. He is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. We plan to prove to you, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Mr. Chauvin was anything other than innocent on May 25th of 2020. And our second objective, ladies and gentlemen, is to bring you the evidence, which I'm trying to preview this morning.
All right, I'll stop it there. But yeah, he had a very compelling opening argument, and I thought personally that he did a good job with that. And what you guys didn't see that I did not show, he updated the time of the of what we know of it being 8 minutes and 46 seconds. He updated that time for us. He updated the time, and it is now at 9 minutes and 29 seconds of what he said of what George Floyd had to go through when Officer Chauvin was pressing on his neck. So now that that time has been updated, in us as people who either watched the video or the individuals that were there, um, what is this now gonna prove in the case of Derek Chauvin? And like, other than what he said and what's gonna come in these coming weeks, because I think this trial is at least gonna be 4 weeks. I don't think the judge wants this case like long and drawn out like most cases that we've seen on TV. Um. So also, you know, Dave Chappelle gave us the impromptu uh video of him talking about the whole ordeal, and he gave us the 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I wonder if Dave Chappelle's gonna come out after this case is done and do something else that was like 8 minutes and 46 seconds that he did. I wonder if he'll come out and do another like little speech that he gave in his 8 minutes and 46 seconds video. I wonder if if the charges when the charges if Derek Chauvin either gets proven guilty or innocent. I want to really hear what Dave Chappelle has to say about this, because Dave Chappelle's a very educated person when it comes to expressing himself or whatever. If you know his background at all, with his parents, both of his parents were college professors. So I'm waiting to hear him what Dave has to say about all of this. And we all seen various news reports about everything that happened, and we all seen and what it sparked or whatever. When it comes to all of the all of the hold on, let me get this video ready. All right. So we all know what it sparked here in America and across the world. It not only just the George Floyd stuff, but the Breonna Taylor, which has yet to be nothing has yet to be done. But I do know that all of those officers were acquitted of whatever charges that they had against them. So I think to this day, I think there's something going on to where they want justice for Breonna Taylor. So with this, it sparked a big outrage amongst the whole world for the simple fact that, and this is what I've learned, that there isn't only police brutality here in America when it comes to African Americans, but there's also police brutality in other countries as well amongst black individuals. So I shouldn't be shocked or surprised about that at all, but um we have to really understand and question why some of this stuff happens. And I w- I'm basically urging people to really watch this case if you can. If you can find a news source of any sort, is I've been watching the case on YouTube. I've been watching it on the Star Tribune channel, which it's not any of that that news fluff at all. It doesn't have any of that, no commercials. It doesn't have other news stories they want to report when when everybody goes on break that's on the case. Star Tribune is basically they videotape everything live of what's happening. When they break, you'll just hear white noise until everyone comes back, and then they'll start the trial up again. But I basically myself when I wanted to see it, I basically put out there that I didn't want to hear anything else that was gonna take me away from listening and gathering my thoughts about what I think about the case in general. So Jerry told us that 9 minutes and 29 seconds, which is the new time. Um, and in my thoughts, it would be wise for the prosecution or the prosecuting attorneys when it comes time to bring Derek up on the witness stand and give his take of what he felt about why he did what he did. Because I feel as though it's smart, and I'm pretty sure the defense will probably decline that, but I feel like if it's if it's reasonable for the prosecuting attorneys to do so, I feel like they should bring him on the stand, ask him some questions, then be done with it, and then allow the defense to dig their own hole. Because if defense wants to cross examine Derek, then that's on them. Let them do that, and let them dig their own hole for their own stuff. Because that for the simple fact that we watched a man basically kill we watched a police officer kill a civilian, and I'm gonna get to how all of this came about. It has to do with one of the witnesses. I'm not going to say his name yet, but I am going to say it when I get to that part. But um, I feel like if Derek is a racist and a bigot, then maybe those should be one of the hard hitting questions that either Jerry or who else is on this? I forget the other guy's name. Jerry and Steve or Matthew. They should either one of them. I feel like because the only two that they've really been showing, because Jerry gave the opening statement. I guess that was for them to lay their what their track is going to be. But Matthew and Steve have been the two who've been either asking questions to the witnesses or cross examining them. And they have excellent questions themselves of um, of what they asked their the witnesses or whatever. Um, where am I at? So, I don't know if anybody remembers this or not, but y'all remember when it was reports stating that both Derek and George Floyd knew each other because George Floyd was a head bouncer of a nightclub, and they were saying that either Derek would respond to calls if something happened at that nightclub, or he either did security himself. Derek did security himself at that same nightclub. Either or, we need to know that as well from questions that the prosecuting attorneys can ask. Um, they also outlined in the case that they also will be talking about Derek's past and how he's been reprimanded on other things that he's done. Such as I think he did from what one of the I think it was I don't know if it was a news report that I saw or if it was one of the witnesses. One of like they've brought up a few witnesses that are in law enforcement, and they talked about Derek's past, if they worked with him or not. But they also brought up how in one instance when he responded to I think a domestic violence call that he had to I guess put a woman in handcuffs or something like that, and I guess he had a bad time with that. He wasn't very successful in the beginning of doing that, but then I guess he roughed the woman up to where he got reprimanded for it. So I don't remember which day it was. I don't know if it, because the case is on from Monday to Friday, and I don't remember which day it was that got brought up. But as a strategy, the prosecuting attorneys can bring that up. They can ask him why he did it and what was the cause of why he would do something like that. And then, get the answers from there. And then if he hangs himself, then let him. Like, because I feel just like how everyone else feels. I want to see this guy in jail for not only for what he did, but I want this case to be a message to the rest of the police departments in this country that you can't do such violent acts on a suspect if they're not complying with your orders or not uh, doing what you tell them to. I don't care. I don't care with that. What I care about is that you have a job to do. You have policies and procedures of how you deal with things. If you're taking stuff into your own hands, and a lot of people can say that mostly damn near every police force in this damn country does things like that their way. So, well, they might, all police departments have policies and procedures of how they're supposed to do their job, but I'm pretty sure that they allow each department in this in this country allows their police to basically try get they what am I trying to say here? I'm pretty sure that they allow them to improvise on those um those procedures. So so what I found weird about this was that when the prosecuting attorneys was drawing out their what they're going to try and do, and this is what they want to have the jury realize in this case, and when they do their deliberation, how to, well, not really telling them how to deliberate, but basically when you get to the evidence, when you go to deliberate and you look at everything and you remember everything that you wrote down, because I'm pretty sure everything that they write down is going to be given back to them. The whole time that the prosecuting attorney Jerry Blackwell was talking, Derek Chauvin was sitting there writing notes the whole time. Now, I know that it's probably not uncommon for something like that to happen, but when you look at the uh the defense attorney and him, like, he was just listening. The prosecuting attorney, his name's escaping me already. Eric Nelson. Eric Nelson was just listening. He was looking up at him. I guess he was looking at his notes and what he was trying to do and whatever. But the whole time, Derek Chauvin sitting there listening and writing notes the whole time. He just sitting there listening and writing notes. He's like, okay, yep, yeah, right. So I found that very weird. Like, very weird. Because either homie is going to be writing a book about this. Either way, if he's guilty or innocent, I don't know if he does or not. I'm just putting this out in the air. This is my thought process on this. Homie either got offered a book deal and he's sitting there writing notes, but we all know with those legal notebooks that they have sitting at each table, all that stuff is collected at the end of the day, and then it's reviewed by whomever. I don't know who reviews that stuff, but I'm not sure if they get those notebooks back or not. I'm pretty sure that they do, but all that stuff is taken at the end of the day, and someone reviews that, because then the judge himself, I think, has to, not only with him listening to everything and him, I think he has to review some of that stuff himself or whatever. So yeah, like, I don't know, guilty or innocent, I feel like homie has some sort of book deal or something with this trial, because I'm saying we all know when it comes to books and people who write them, their first book, like people sort of like him, like Derek, and people like I don't want to bring up OJ, but homie, he had his book, but I don't know what the fuck happened to that shit, but whatever. Usually the first book is about your life. It's an autobiography. And the autobiography is usually led up to whatever you're famous for, or whatever that you do. So his would be from childhood up until his point from the George Floyd murder to the case, and then after that, book will be done. I'm not trying to give anybody any ideas, but like I said, this is what I think and I feel about why he was writing all these damn notes. Like, from Monday to Friday, this dude had nothing but notes. He was taking nothing but notes. I'm pretty sure he filled up at least each day, because almost every day is like 8 hours, like 3.5 to 8 hours, except for Friday. I think Friday was only like almost 3 hours or something like that they did. So with the defense, with their opening arguments, this shit was crazy. Sort of, kind of, to me, their opening arguments was like it was like a horse stumbling out of the stall. Like they didn't really at all like their whole thing was because when they were selecting the witnesses, they didn't want certain witnesses to be on the case because it would make Derek look bad. Such as it was a firefighter that is trained um in medical aid, and I think they didn't want the black guy that trains in mixed martial arts. They didn't want him on the trial at all as a witness, and it was somebody else, and the name escapes me, but I might have it in my whole little spiel that I got going on. But the defense claimed that Derek was only doing his job, that it was a routine call, routine, them trying to figure out the situation, and then, you know, they claimed that George Floyd was resisting arrest, and they have reasonable suspicion of them of not George Floyd, sorry, of Derek Chauvin trying to do his job. They said he had reasonable suspicion because Derek thought that he did have drugs, and that's the reason why he was resisting arrest. And the defense also mentioned that they found two pills in George Floyd's car. Well, not the defense found, but the police that were there, which is Derek Chauvin, Thomas Lane, and what's the last name? Derek Chauvin, Thomas Lane, J. Alexander Keown, and Officer Tutow. So, and then when they went to go and look at the toxicology reports, they stated that in George's blood, they found, which they used the city's autopsy examiner. But we all know the family got a second autopsy done, and they said that they found nothing of sort of which was in Derek's blood. But the defense only went by what the city took care of, and they didn't go off of any of the second examiner's stuff. So I feel like, okay, so we all know that that each lawyer wants to win this case. It'd be stupid for them not to want to win this case, whatever. Because, they have ranking systems. Well, I won't say ranking systems, but they have percentage systems, and they want when the city reviews stuff like that, they see who has, the top conviction rates and stuff like that, and blah 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 blah. When it comes to like these defense attorneys, I didn't really look up what Nick Nelson's or Amy Voss and everybody else's percentage rating was, but I'm pretty sure they're on this case. I'm pretty sure in the city of Minneapolis, I'm pretty sure it's high enough for them to take this case. But what they found, what the first examiner found, they said that they found a mixture of methamphetamine and fentanyl in pill form that was in George's car, I think they found a bottle of them, and they also found 2 loose ones in the car somehow. And then they said they found that the traces of it in his blood. So with methamphetamine and fentanyl, it causes certain effects, and on the street they call it a speedball. So they also brought up that the officers on the scene was in a struggle with Floyd, and dispatcher seeing them and what was happening, blah 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 blah. I'll let him state his case right now. So let me turn on my screen, and I'm gonna play this for y'all. I'm gonna cut the music and let y'all listen to this.
May it please the court, counsel, Mr. Chauvin, members of the jury. A reasonable doubt is a doubt that is based upon reason and common sense. At the end of this case, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about doubt. But for purposes of my remarks this morning, I want to talk about reason and common sense and how that applies to the evidence that you're about to see during the course of this trial. Reason is an idea that wholly permeates our law, our legal system, and it forms the foundation. And you will see and hear that repeatedly throughout the course of this trial. What would a reasonable police officer do? What is a reasonable use of force? What would a reasonable person do in his or her most important affairs? What is a reasonable doubt? As such, reason dictates and necessitates how the evidence must be looked at and analyzed in every single case. And common sense is exactly that. It's common sense. Common sense tells you that there are always 2 sides to a story. Common sense tells us that we need to examine the totality of the circumstances to determine the meaning of evidence and how it can be applied to the questions of reasonableness of actions and reactions. In other words, common sense is the application of sound judgment based upon a reasoned analysis. And that's what this case is ultimately about. It's about the evidence in this case. The evidence that you will see in this case during this trial. I agree with counsel for the state. It is nothing more than that. There is no political or social cause in this courtroom. But the evidence is far greater than 9 minutes and 29 seconds. In this case, you will learn that the evidence has been collected broadly and expansively. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension employed nearly 50 case agents, analysts, and technicians to investigate this case. The Federal Bureau of Investigation included at least 28 additional agents in their investigation. These agents combined have engaged in an extensive and far-reaching investigation. They have interviewed over 50 members of the Minneapolis Police Department, including the officers who responded to the scene after Mr. Floyd was brought to the hospital. They interviewed members of the Minneapolis Police Department command staff. They interviewed officers who oversee training and policy-making decisions within the Minneapolis Police Department. They have interviewed nearly 200 civilian witnesses in this case. Some of these witnesses saw the entire incident, some who saw a portion of the incident, many who saw nothing, and some who had some piece of information to give to the officers, and others who had nothing. These agents interviewed the numerous medical personnel who attended to Mr. Floyd, and they interviewed the numerous firefighters and paramedics who responded. Agents executed approximately a dozen search warrants in this case to gather information. And in the end, you will hear a term throughout, I believe, this case called the Bates stamp number.
Sorry, my secondary microphone ain't working.
For lawyers to keep track of the case, to make sure that we are working from the same set of documents, the same set of evidence.
to preserve the integrity of the investigation. You will learn that we are approaching 50,000 bait stand items. So this case is clearly more than about 9 minutes and 29 seconds. As you all saw during jury selection, the witness list in this case neared 400 people.
All right, I'm gonna cut it there. Yeah, sorry about the secondary microphone that's not working right now. I don't really have much time to try to find a battery for it, but whatever. All right. Um. So yeah, you heard him say that it's not about a political anything. It's not about race or anything. It's about an officer doing his job. So what he fails to realize, and this has happened before. So it was a point in time where it was one of the witnesses that say this. They wanted the firefighter wanted to check his pulse and give him medical attention or whatever, because she kept telling him, why are all you guys on top of him like that? I want to check his pulse, and I want to know if he's all right or not. And what they don't realize is, let me turn this off. What they don't realize is that, hold up. Sorry. So what they don't realize is that this has been done before, for the simple fact that she wanted to bring up that he was a slender built man, and they had like what, 3 other officers on him. So we all know when it comes to APBs, when they put out APBs, it's always the same thing. There's a African American male between the ages of 18 to 45, slender built, between the height of 5'10" to 6'3". We all know that APB. Now everybody fits the goddamn description. Um. So where am I at? Okay, so I think the defense is at a disadvantage for the simple fact that they're trying to sway the jury from what Jerry said to hear what he has to say. Not saying that the jury has to only listen to what the prosecutors have to say. They have to listen to everybody. But each and every single last uh, jury member has seen the video. That's one thing I didn't tell y'all. Each and every last person seen the video, either if it was on the news, on the internet, what have you. They seen it. So to to me, I would feel like that it would be a hard pass for the jury members not to convict this guy. So, because we clearly saw that Derek killed him. He cut off the blood circulation from the carotid artery, which is located in the back of your neck. and we slowly saw him lose consciousness. Now I'm gonna go back one with the whole uh, how the defense is trying to label this thing. So, do y'all remember the Rodney King trial? And one of the officers, if you ever seen any of like the documentaries and stuff like that, but there's one that's still floating around, LA 92. If you watch that documentary, they show the part where they're in the courtroom because they couldn't have the which this is kind of the same deal. They didn't have the court case in Minneapolis. They changed it to somewhere else, just like in the Rodney King trial. They didn't have it in L.A., so they drove it up to San Fernando Valley, I think it was where they put it at, which was nowhere in LA. It was outside of LA. I think it's LA County that it's in. And he so Officer Stacy Coon said that he wanted to the reason why he kept giving the order to beat Rodney King is for the simple fact is that he felt once Rodney King got up, he was going to take his gun away from him and kill him and every single last officer that was there. And that was him basing that statement off of him thinking that Rodney King had drugs in his system, just like this ordeal with them thinking that George Floyd had drugs in his system. Now, I'm not here to say if he had drugs in his system or not, but if one toxicology report states that he does, and then another one states that he doesn't, somebody's lying. And the reason of Los Angeles doing away with their chokehold, because they used to do a rear naked chokehold on suspects and basically cutting their air supply off and killing them. This didn't only happen just to a certain few. It was people that kept dying from police brutality by the use of a rear naked chokehold. Now, they did away with that, but that was way before the Rodney King trial when they done away with that. I think they did away with that in like the 80s. So, with fast forward to the George Floyd stuff, we now see that there's a man that is a police officer that is kneeling on the neck of a black dude, cutting off blood supply to his brain from his carotid artery, and you have a person with a knee in his back, which is causing him not to be able to breathe correctly, and I'm gonna get into that as well. And you got another guy on his legs or on his back as well, holding his legs. So what what do we not get here? All three of those men killed somebody. Derek Chauvin is basically the prime suspect for the simple fact that he was in one of the most crucial areas of blood getting to his neck. I mean his brain, stopping his heart, giving him a cardiac arrest. So to go back to what I was saying earlier, uh the defense is at a disadvantage for the simple fact that they're trying to sway the jury to think one thing from what they heard from another, from what they've seen with their own eyes. And clearly in the video, if you watched all week, plus if you just watched the video in general, like before the case, you can clearly see somebody killing somebody. So it's like I know everybody is granted a fair trial or whatever, but when we look at this and you know what I'm saying, like we see everything, like what is there not to understand about police brutality and a police officer killing a man, as we saw with Breonna Taylor, like we saw with Tamir Rice, like we saw with damn her name escapes me. Anyway, countless others that we've seen in this case. Like, what is so fucking hard for the defense? Like, if well, I'm not a lawyer, but it would be wise, and I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to use that little part in their opening argument to basically say, like, hey, the man was doing his job. Like, what more do you want this man to do? Like, he's doing his job. Like, this is what he signed up to be a police officer for, to apprehend bad guys when they catch them and blah 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 blah. Like, I understand, but you can't unsee what everybody saw. Like, it's inevitable not to see that. So, um, okay, so the witnesses that got called to the stand, um, so there's a lot of them, but I only picked the ones that had statements that I felt that if I was a jury member, I would have paid a lot of attention to that. So the ones I've picked was the dispatcher, Jenna Scully. So let me share my screen with y'all so y'all can get to know these people by face. So you got Jenna Sully. She is the dispatcher for the Minneapolis Minneapolis what metro area, I guess you can say. So yeah, she basically got the call. So the got the call from um no, matter of fact, no, she didn't get the call. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go through all that. Let me just name everybody. So you got the dispatcher, um you got the dispatcher Jenna Scurry. You have the firefighter, and she's trained in. Uh, I think she's also a paramedic as well. So you have her, Genevieve Hansen. You have entrepreneur and skilled wrestler and MMA fighter. What's his name? Donald Wynn Williams II. We have store clerk Christopher Martin, and we'll learn about him. You have George Floyd's girlfriend of 3 years, Courtney Ross, paramedic. I think that is what's his name, Seth Brevender, and you also have paramedic Derek Smith, and you have I think that's Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman. The only person that I don't have up here that I think that hold on, I should have him somewhere. All right, let me I'm gonna turn my screen sharing off, and I'm gonna find his video, his picture, because I know I have him in here. I don't, but we will see his video. So it was another guy. His name was Charles McMillan, and we what am I doing? I'm just over here just touching shit. All right, so Jenna, she she was sitting at work, and she saw the surveillance camera, and she thought that the monitor that that's at her job, so if anything happens, she can put out a call to the police or fire department or whatever to either get medical help, or if there's a crime happening. She's one of the dispatchers in the city. So she gave her testimony on the day in question, and she said that her day was like any other day. She brought up at the point of the day that she looked at the monitor, like I said, and she saw what was going on the street that everything happened on. So it's a little corner store called Cup Foods that everything happened at. So anyway, she saw in the Cup Food sits between the streets of Chicago Ave and East 38th Street. And she thought that the monitor was frozen when she was looking at it, right? So I guess she took a call and sent out whatever, and then she looked back at the monitor and um saw that image was still there. So she walked up to it, and then she saw that there was movement. So she called the police sergeant that was on duty, called and said, "Hey, look, I don't want to be a snitch at all, but some officers have been on this man for a while, and it's a little disturbing. Has anybody called you for a not lethal force? Sorry, for any use of force at all? Because I don't know if this is everywhere, but I'm pretty sure it's everywhere, that officers have to call in when they use of force. They have to call into their sergeant to let them know. So I guess he can come out to the scene to supervise everything. That's what's going on. So she was like, "Yeah, I don't want to snitch or anything, but you may want to get in touch with those guys." So I'm gonna let her and the prosecuting attorney have the prosecute. I'm gonna let y'all watch prosecuting attorney ask her some questions. So here we go.
There have been other changes to the scene. Were there other people in there?
I didn't pay attention to the surroundings of what was going on. I just know that they had moved.
Right. But at some point, did you see other citizens in the video?
I cannot remember seeing them. I just remembered looking up and seeing that the situation hadn't changed.
Do you recall approximately how long that was?
No, it was long enough. It was long enough that I could look back multiple times.
And so when you did look back, still on the ground, like depicted here, essentially.
Correct.
And what did you think about this when you looked back and saw that it hadn't changed?
I first asked if the screens had frozen.
Why did you ask that?
because it hadn't changed.
Okay. And did you find that it had frozen?
No.
How did
Well,
you
I was told that it was not frozen.
Did you see the screen change yourself?
Yes, I saw the person's moving.
So what did you start thinking at that point?
Something might be wrong.
Why?
We don't get these videos often, or, video at all, unless it's looking at the bridge or just looking at people walking. We very rarely get incidents where police are actively on a scene. And they had changed. They had come from the back of the squad to the ground, and my instincts were telling me that something's wrong. Something is not right. I don't know what, but something wasn't right.
You used the term snitch.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
At that moment, it was a word that just came out of my mouth, but it's out of the scope of my duties to call the sergeant if there was any use of force.
And so that's what the purpose, well, tell me, what was the purpose of making that call to him and giving him that information?
Voicing my concerns. Like I said, we don't see incidents. My job is mainly all listening.
And by the time you made that call, you said something to Sergeant Pleager about, what, did they take him already? By the time you made that call, were you still able to see the video from the street camera?
Yes, the video was still up.
And what did you see at the time you were making that call?
That nobody was there.
So you were aware an ambulance had come to the scene?
Yes.
But the ambulance was not in the video at that time?
Correct.
So is that the reason why you made a reference to them being gone?
Yes, so I was speaking to the rest of my team over there and asking a question to them while still on the phone with the sergeant.
So probably a better time for me to ask this question, but have you ever, prior to that date, made a call like that to a sergeant?
No.
In your job?
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should.
Okay. So, so she gave her statement, and she gave her perspective of what she saw. And man, like, it was crazy because when I saw that, I was like, damn, like you was looking at the screen and the screen didn't change. And then you looked at the monitor again and then saw that it was still the same. Like, that's crazy. So, the next person is the I'm gonna do Donald. So Donald basically is a skilled MMA fighter. I think he fights professionally in like one of those not. I don't think he fights in like a well-known league, but he fights in a league. And he was basically the prosecution's expert in like holds and chokes and stuff like that. They wanted him to describe the choke of what he saw. So I'm not sure if the video that I have is that, but I'm pretty sure it's close to it. So let me let y'all see that. Let me cut the music, and here y'all go.
Now, earlier you mentioned the term shimmy. Right. I've just been spelling SHIMMY. Good enough.
Yeah, good enough. You never gave it a spelling of it, but yeah, shimmy.
And so that's a move that you learn in your training for mixed martial arts holds.
That is correct.
And what's the purpose of doing a shimmy?
To get the choke tighter. To close the gap of the air between your arm and the neck.
And were there times that you saw things that you thought be recognized as a shimmy by this officer on Mr. Floyd.
That is definitely correct.
What I'm going to do is play a portion of Exhibit 15, and it's the time period roughly when you are there. And while we play it, I would just ask that you explain to the jury the things that you saw you would consider a shimmy. Just sort of explain how what it is that you're seeing to make you think that.
Correct.
So, all right?
Yes.
All right. So we'll do Exhibit 15 starting at 44 seconds.
See how he just did it right there? You see his foot is on there, his toe is pointed down, and you will see a small gesture in his back foot like this. And that's just the pressure you push more down between his knee, George's head, and the concrete, and cutting off circulation.
All right, and we'll continue on that, please.
All right. So he basically was explaining to the prosecution that, certain chokeholds and certain ways of how to close off air and stuff like that. And I think he did a good job at explaining that. And he also when he was cross-examined, the defense attorney Eric Nelson was basically trying to make it seem like what Donald Wynn Williams was saying, wasn't what he thought it was. Basically, the prosecution was not the prosecution, the defense, sorry. The defense was basically trying to let him know that, I know you're trained in this aspect of what you do, but when a police officer is trying to administer some sort of a hold to apprehend a suspect, that's not necessarily what of what you do. Um so yeah, like you could see how Donald's demeanor changed and stuff like that when he was talking to the defense attorney, for the simple fact that the defense attorney was really being an asshole when it came to his questions. Now, I don't know if the defense didn't want to believe anything that Donald was saying, but it was it was, from what I can hear, it was very, like, his questions was very, like, mean, like, towards George Floyd and what happened that day. And I personally didn't agree with what Eric Nelson was doing, for the simple fact that it made his part of what he was trying to do, it made it seem unrelevant, for the simple fact that we saw what we saw, and he tried to make it seem like that's not what the fuck we saw. So the next person is the paramedic and the firefighter, Genevieve Hansen. And she's trained in giving people medical attention. So she knows the whole nine: CPR, how to bandage somebody, whatever happens in the line of work of being a paramedic. That's what she knows. I've dated a paramedic before, and she told me everything, and everything she told me escapes me right now. And she told me what her job basically consists of, and Genevieve wanted to give medical attention to George Floyd because by time, and like I said, she said that he's a slim man. It's three of y'all on him, and all of them look like they weighed no more than like 200 pounds plus added weight with the vest and everything that they carry on their belts and stuff like that. So they had to be, each of them had to be at least 200 plus pounds. So you got 600 pounds on you when George Floyd probably weighed no more than like maybe 170 some odd pounds. So he's getting all this pressure put on him, and he's feeling the weight on his neck, on his back, on his legs, and he's screaming out, "Hey, can you please, let up? I'll get in the car," and stuff like that, and they don't budge. And then, as we know, he faded. He died, and Genevieve basically got very upset at the scene for the simple fact that she knew she could administer um medical aid to George to open his airways, make sure he's breathing right, make sure his heart is beating or whatever, and they denied her that access because if I hear it from another YouTuber I look at, he'll probably say something along the lines, because he said he's a police officer, or he's been a police officer, that when you're when you're apprehending a suspect, no one should be in the vicinity of where the police are orchestrating their search or apprehension or whatever. That's the reason why you saw Officer Tutal telling everybody to step back and stuff like that. So if she had some sort of a badge or something to show, hey, I'm with the police department, or not the police department, the fire department, I know how to give medical aid to someone, allow me to come in here, check his pulse and see if his heart's beating correctly. You know what I'm saying? He's saying he can't breathe. I need you to let up a little bit. But they didn't want to hear it. So she, then gets upset. And she also makes a statement that, but I don't know if this is really her statement. I think this is something that I just said. But she basically stated that, where am I at? Okay, she also brought up that systematic problem in America's police force, profiling black men by body size. She saw George Floyd's slim build with the weight of three officers on him, while Derek Chauvin told her that he was fine. So, and we heard him say that in that video that that was circulating all last year, and we can see it now of Derek Chauvin saying that he's fine, he's breathing. Cops have a tendency to think that since someone is talking fine, that they're breathing fine. But sometimes that's not the case, and as we saw with the video, that George Floyd said, "Please let up." I'm just paraphrasing here. He said, "Please let up," and Derek didn't, and kept saying that his neck hurt, his body hurts. He said at a point in time that everything's shutting down, and as soon as what we saw, he went unconscious and he died. So I'm gonna let y'all hear what Genevieve has to say. So let me push this forward and I'll play it.
Your testimony about May 25th of 2020. You were out for a walk because it was your day off, right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Sorry. You're out for a walk, and you're walking you're walking westbound on 38th Street, and you see the lights, and you said it's not uncommon to see lights there.
In my neighborhood. Not on my corner, but in my neighborhood.
Okay.
Or in the city.
Right. And as you walked what would be the southeast corner of 38th in Chicago, you heard a woman yelling that they are killing him, right?
Right.
And so you did this kind of circle loop to visualize and see what was going on, right? And at the point that you came on scene, Mr. Floyd was already.
I just got some breaking news from the Star Tribune, the place that I've been on YouTube that I've been watching the whole time with the court case. They're saying that they have more new cell phone video footage shown in the court from the day George Floyd died. But I'm pretty sure they're talking about all the footage that they've shown when it comes to when it came to the court case. This is later on in my docket, but I'll say it now. They have it's a lot of footage. Let me find it. Um the court show various angles of the situation in question that happened May 25th, 2020. They had cell phone video footage, they had police body camera footage, and they also had street surveillance camera footage. So I'm pretty sure that's what they're talking about. So excuse me, like I said, breaking news just came in. If you guys want to go over to the Star Tribune, it's StarTribune, Star Tribune. So if you guys want to hop over there after this video, if you guys either want to play my video and then have that video somewhere else and look at all the footage, please do so. Like, if you want to see other than what we saw on the internet and on the news, then this is the perfect time to do so. But I'll get back to the video. Sorry.
On the ground, right?
Correct.
And Mr. Floyd, you saw what your memory told you was 4 police officers on there, right?
Correct.
But you now know that it was 3, right?
Correct.
And I think you made some reference about why you videotaped, because our memories are fallible, right? And again, a stressful situation can impact your memory, right?
Absolutely. That's why we're lucky it was videotaped.
Right. It's also fair to say that once you kind of came, you first talked to Officer Tao, and you said that you identified yourself as a Minneapolis firefighter, right? And Officer Tao asked you to step onto the curb, and you did that, right? And you would agree that when you first arrived on scene, your own personal, I'm just talking about you personally, your own personal demeanor was much more calm.
Correct.
And as you were there between 8:26 and 8:30, so in about those 4 minutes, you would agree that your own demeanor got louder and more frustrated and upset.
Frustrated, I'm not sure is the word I would use.
Angry?
More desperate.
You called the officers a bitch, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got quite angry after Mr. Floyd was loaded into the ambulance, and there was no point in trying to reason with them anymore because they had just killed somebody.
So in terms of the time that you were there, you have no idea what those officers were doing on the side of the car, right?
Saying the officers that I couldn't see from my vantage point, is that what you're asking?
Right. You
Right.
don't know what they were doing.
I couldn't see the.
All right, I'm gonna stop it there. But either or, if she couldn't see what the other officers was doing. But then you saw in other footage, in the footage that was across the street that someone took, it was clearly shown that not only was Officer Chauvin on there, you also had what's homie's name? Also had Jay Alexander Keown, and you had Thomas Lane on them, and Tal was doing crowd control. So there's nothing else to really, you know what I mean, to try to get her to think that she didn't know what all the other officers were doing, when later we could see that we knew what they was doing. All right. So with this next witness, I really don't want to. Well, nah, he gonna get it. He's really gonna get it. So the next guy, and I'm gonna show his picture again. Christopher Martin. Let me share my screen with y'all. Christopher Martin was the guy who took George's his money, basically. He was the guy that took George's money when he was buying his cigarettes along with, I think, a banana and something else. So he basically states in his thing, you know, they asked him questions about the day, and you know, he basically was stating that, you know, George was a regular customer there. He always came there, and he that day he bought a pack of cigarettes and a banana and something else, and he said that he went to go and examine the $20 bill, like, as we see with every other store clerk anywhere else. So he took the bill at first. So I guess George got his change back, and George left, went into his car or whatever. So then he second guessed himself. I guess he opened the register back up to check the bill again and saw that it was a counterfeit of what they say. That's what they said. It was a counterfeit bill. And he stated that he went to go to his boss and, you know, basically tell him, hey man, like, you know, that guy that just came in, he, you know, paid with this counterfeit bill or whatever, and you know, we gotta either talk to him and see if he can come back into the store or whatever. So they did. They came back. They him and a few other, I think his boss, another employee, and himself, I think, went to George's car, because George's car was parked on East 38th Street, and the Cup Food sits in between both East 38th and Chicago Ave. So they confronted George and was like, hey man, if you just come into the store and, you know, so we can, you know, work this out or whatever, like, you know, we just need you to come back into the store so we can work this out. So I guess George refused to do that. So Chris called the police. So the police officers that came on scene was I think it was Thomas Lane and no, I'm sorry. It was uh Derek Chauvin and Officer Tutal. Those are two people that came, those two officers that came first. And then when they were in a tussle with them, then Officer Keown and Officer Lane came. But in their store policy, which I guess the boss wrote up or whatever, that in their store policy that an employee will be deducted from their paycheck if they accept counterfeit bills, and I guess whatever else they would have to be deducted for something like that. So we're talking a banana and some cigarettes plus a $20 bill. So they will be deducted the $20 bill, the price of whatever merchandise they purchased, like he will be deducted from. So I had to do the due diligence in searching. What's the average price of cigarettes? Average price of cigarettes is $6.65. The average price of a single banana is 25 cents. So we're talking altogether 20 with state with Minnesota state tax. That's 26.90. No, I'm sorry. That's without state tax, 26.90. With state tax is 31.69. So, homeboy, you couldn't, and I understand it's a counterfeit bill. You're not allowed to accept counterfeit bills. You want to go and see, hey man, can we work this out? I'll even pay for your stuff. You don't have to worry about it. But then you call the police. But you couldn't just take a deduction from your paycheck, which is a measly $31.69. I don't know how much they're paying you over there at Cup Foods, but come on, yo, for real. Like, we talking $31.69. You couldn't miss that in a paycheck. I mean, I don't know how you get paid or whatever. I don't know if you get paid underneath the table, if you get paid by check. I don't know, what type of deductions you have in your check. I don't know if you get health care or dental or anything. Excuse me. But come on, for real, it's fucking $31, dog. Then he had to say, and I'm gonna let him say this himself, that it was something bone chilling about what he said, and probably we would have never seen this video. Like we would have never marched. Everybody would have never marched when it came with to this. Let me see if this is the one. Okay, yeah, this is the one. So I'm gonna let this play out. Yeah, I'm gonna let this play all the way through.
At the time that you were working on May 25th of 2020, what was the store policy about cashiers accepting $20 bills?
The policy was that if you took a counterfeit bill, you would have to pay for it out of your money or your paycheck.
It gives you an incentive to be careful about what you take.
Yes.
All right. So, did you think that bill might not be legitimate?
I did.
So, what did you decide to do?
I took it anyways, and I was planning to just put it on my tab until I second guessed myself. And as you can see in the video, I kept examining it, and then I eventually told my manager.
That's him. That's in the white hoodie and the tan cargo pants.
I want to pause here for a moment, please. For the record, 82904, can you tell the jurors what happened, what you were doing here, I guess?
At this point, I think I was just kind of emotional, and I went to African American. I was standing there in the curb, and I was just like they're not gonna help him. This is what we have to deal with. So
Okay.
Sustained.
Yeah.
He'll be stricken.
And then can we continue to run Exhibit 33, please?
Sorry, Chicago Street. I kept calling Chicago Ave, but I'm gonna scrub past this, y'all.
I'm going to pause here for a moment. The record should reflect 8:29:55. We saw you standing there with your hands on your head for a while, correct?
correct.
What was going through your mind during that time period?
Disbelief and guilt.
Why guilt?
If I would have just not taken the bill, this could have been avoided.
So you heard that come out of his own mouth. So we can say, and I'm not beating up on him, but we can say that he's one of the catalysts of why this happened. Now I understand, and I'm not being I'm not being a fucked up person or nothing. Like I'm really saying this to be honest. Um if you knew you could have avoided all of this, why in the hell did you actually allow that to happen to that man? And I can't find that next video I want to show y'all. Um, let me refind it. But anyway, yeah, man, like it could have been avoided. You said it could have been avoided, and from what I saw was that you wasn't actually, you said you was emotional and stuff like that, but you sitting there allowing the you basically allowed that to happen. And now I'm not saying you allowed that to happen. That's a little too harsh. I'm sorry for that, my friend. But you you're one of the prime causes of why George Floyd died. Now, I'm sorry for saying that. Like I am for real. Like, but we gotta call a spade a spade. Like on the real. Like we gotta call a spade a spade. You watched a man die for the simple fact that I understand you said you could pay with it with your own money. And you could have, had it go on your tab or whatever. But it has to be hard to go to sleep at night for you to know that you're a prime reason why George Floyd died. Now, I would say that nothing really would bring him back at all, George Floyd. But you could have at least had enough common sense to allow yourself to process what was going on that street. And I really don't have much more to say about that dude, yo. Like, cause like everybody else, we didn't know, who called the cops or whatever until Chris, was on the stand and stuff like that. And I think another, there's an old video from last year of him, I guess, giving his take of what happened. Because I guess it was certain news stations was circulating, their interview or whatever. But anyway, I'll get into the next guy, and I'm talking about Mr. Charles McMillan. He was a hard watch because Mr. McMillan was there the whole time of George Floyd being apprehended, to them, putting use of force on George. He was there the whole time. He basically was coaching George on what to do. He basically told him, hey man, just get up, get in the car. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta, like, if you watch the video, you can hear him in the back. He's the older gentleman that's talking in the background. Now, the reason why I say that Mr. McMillan's testimony was a hard watch is because Charles McMillan, I think he said he was 61, so he saw all of stuff like this when he was growing up. And, he was born back in the, he's 61 now, so he was born in like 1960 something. So he's seen at least half of what was happening back in the 1960s, from Martin Luther King being assassinated. He probably heard his parents or his family members talking about, or family friends talk about, Malcolm X's murder. He's seen countless black people be locked up for reasons that can baffle the mind. He's probably seen people be wrongfully convicted of stuff in his lifetime. And he was a hard watch. And the reason why I say he was a hard watch, for the simple fact, is that you could see when they replayed that video, you could see everything that was going through his mind that he could have done, he could have stopped, and what, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was basically, like, you could basically look at him and see all the pain that he's probably had to go through from that day until now. So I'm gonna play this next video, and I'm gonna let y'all see what he had to say.
Take a seat. Leave, man. Leave it. Is he going to jail? He's under arrest right now for forgery. Tell what's going on. What? For what? Leave, man. I can't fucking leave. Come on out. Thank you. Thank you. Come on, go. Yeah, on the ground. Right. You got your restraint. Grab that. Jesus Christ. Thank you. Stop moving. Mama. Now, Mama.
All right, I'm gonna fast forward this so we can hear Mr. McMillan's testimony. Well, it really won't be his testimony, but you can see after this right here. Look.
Oh, you're right.
Just give me a moment, Mr. McMillan. I'm not sure if there's water for you as well. If you need a break to get some water, let me know. Break.
Thank you.
You okay?
Yeah.
I know this is difficult. Can you just explain sort of what you're feeling in this moment?
I feel helpless. I don't have a mama either. I understand him. My mom died.
All right. So the ending to that part is that he told the court that his mother had died. So I'm guessing he lost his mother around the same time that George Floyd was murdered. So not only was he going through a loss with him losing a parent, he was also going through the same with George Floyd. So like I said, he basically was out there like coaching George on what to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo man, just listen to everything that they tell you to do or whatever. But with George Floyd's police record that he already had, excuse me, I'm pretty sure everyone can understand that he didn't want to go back to jail for something that he didn't understand that he did. So, um, but Mr. McMillan is so worked up for the simple fact is that he was there the entire time. He was there even before uh, uh, Chris came out to see what was going on, before Donald got there. And I think Donald was second to Charles McMillan that came out. And then it was the rest of the people that were there, such as the two little girls, the other girl that took the initial viral video, which in her statement, I didn't get this. I heard her statement, and I'm not saying when I said earlier she wasn't one of the ones who had some hard hitting stuff, but one of the things that I know for sure what she said that it's hard for her to sleep at night. And I'm pretty sure it's hard for Mr. McMillan to also go to sleep at night. And you go from, losing your mother and, to seeing that, to, seeing George Floyd die. And you, you're already, you already have emotions when it comes to you losing a loved one. But then to see a murder right in front of your eyes, I I can I can't even fathom what he's going through right now. And I'm not sure if any of the people I'm going to be naming today, like the witnesses or whatever, are going to have to come back for further questioning or not. But that was really a hard watch when I saw that, and I think that was Wednesday or Thursday. It was either Wednesday or Thursday. They brought him to this Mr. McMillan to the stand. All right, so these next two, I'm only going to do one video of one of the guys, and that's going to be of I think it's Derek Smith. Derek Smith and Seth Bervinder are the paramedics that showed up to the scene after um, George Floyd had lost consciousness. So their testimony, both of them, both said that when they arrived at the scene, and they were trying to see what was happening, and they saw the disappointment on the crowd's face that had that was built out in front of the Cup Foods corner store. Um, they both said when I think it was Seth who said that when he came out of his rig and he checked George Floyd's pulse before putting him on the stretcher. He checked for his pulse. He found no pulse, so he determined him dead. So when Derek got to him inside of the ambulance truck, he also felt for a pulse before administering CPR, and he felt for a pulse. He didn't find a pulse, and he also said he determined him dead. So, um, it's it's pretty sad to see. Um, well, no, I won't say it. Okay. It's educational to see this case on its first week go down the way that it's going down, because it's allowing people to understand like how these proceedings and stuff like that happen or whatever. Um, it's also crazy at the simple fact that with these two paramedic guys, they're both trained and skilled in what they do, but it's pretty crazy that they've been on the job for however long they've been on the job, and they can initially know when something is wrong with a patient, because he laid lifeless on the not only on the ground, but when they got him into the gurney, they also said that they had to take his take George Floyd's handcuffs off of him so they could uh properly administer CPR to him. And they showed this their video of their body cameras, I think. If it wasn't just or if it wasn't a police officer's body cam, and then it showed one of them working on him, but I'm pretty sure it was both of them, and I'm not sure if paramedics have to wear body cameras, but I'll leave that up to speculation. But I'm gonna play this video and I'm gonna come back.
What did I observe when I arrived on the scene? There was a police squad, an individual laying down, 3 officers on the individual. There was there was multiple people. There was multiple cell phones out. There was elevated tones used. It didn't feel like a welcoming environment. I walked up to the individual. Noticed he wasn't moving. I didn't see any chest rise or fall on this individual. He was in handcuffs at the time. I went up and, sorry.
And when you approached, you said he was in handcuffs. As you approached him to inspect further, were the officers still on top of him?
The officers were still on him when I approached.
And what did you do when you approached?
I was assessing the scene and running through what care may be needed.
And did you take some initial steps like checking for a pulse?
I checked for a pulse.
And did you also check the individual, Mr. Floyd's pupils?
I did.
And what did you determine at that point?
They were large, dilated.
So you determined that his pupils were large and dilated. What about a pulse?
I did not palpate a pulse.
And when you say palpate, is that you didn't feel or detect a
I
pulse?
did not detect a pulse.
And what did his condition appear to be to you overall?
In lay terms, I thought he was dead.
So as you can see from Derek Smith's mouth, he said that he determined him dead on the scene. But they also get into, terminology that they use in the the paramedic realm. They basically said that they had to do a what's it called, a pop and go. Basically, it's them putting the patient into the ambulance and then going elsewhere to administer care to the patient. So, because of the scene itself being hostile, because of what people saw, um, they followed protocol, did a pop and go, and they administered care, and they couldn't recess them where they were at because I think they said they went 3 blocks. Um, they said that they went 3 blocks or a block over to administer care, and they couldn't. So they then drove him to the emergency room, and then George Floyd was pronounced dead at the hospital. But that's something that they already knew, that the paramedics already knew. It's just, they needed a professional opinion on the situation of the doctors recessing George Floyd. And they didn't. So he he was pronounced dead at the scene. Or at the hospital, I mean. So the next person that hit the witness stand was George Floyd's girlfriend of 3 years. So she basically, her questionings that the prosecution asked her was basically, how they met and how long they've been dating and stuff like that. So she basically told them about their first, how they met, their first date, their favorite places to hang out. And when it came to the question about George Floyd's drug use, she was very honest because she was also using with him. But here's the case on that. George Floyd, when I said earlier, they said that the medical examiner, when they or in the autopsy, they stated that in the toxicology report that the toxicologist basically said that he found methamphetamine and fentanyl in George's system. So George Floyd and both Miss Courtney Ross had both. Courtney said she had neck issues, neck pain, and George had back pain. So I'm guessing they both had prescriptions at a point in time for some sort of pain reliever. So I'm guessing whenever that runs out, a doctor considers you cured, they, stop the prescription and they just wound up using. But we can't say that he was using to get high. If he had, I'll believe if he had back pain And this is something that I heard from a doctor himself. The one thing that a doctor cannot measure on the human body when it is pain, because no doctor knows how much pain a patient is really going through. So since a doctor doesn't know any pain of which a patient is going through, they have to administer some sort of pain relief pain relief medicine that will help them with their pain. Now, we all know that opioids are addictive. So, you know, if you ever had any type of surgery or had a tooth pulled or something, you know the pain of which of having that, of having pain and then taking opioids and how good the relief is, and it's also in any sense of taking opioids. What doctors don't tell you, and I'm pretty sure it's written on um, the prescriptions now, that opioids are very addictive. So since we all know that information now, that they're very addictive, it's a possibility that they could have got addicted to such opioids. So you can get uh, uh, pharmaceutical drugs on the street as well, but if you don't have anybody, and I'm not saying this to tell people to use drugs if you're in pain or anything like that. I'm not saying that. Please get a prescription of any sort if you have any sort of pain. Don't try to, because the story about that. Just try to, get your a prescription filled if you have pain. If you really do have pain, that's what I'm saying. So okay, so with the defense, when they went to go and ask Miss Ross some questions, I'll put her picture up. Miss Ross, that's not the right one. Miss Ross, basically laid out their relationship, and when the defense started asking their questions, they had some dirty ass, inappropriate fucking questions. They basically only drilled on their drug use or whatever. That was the picture that they was painting to make George Floyd look like a bad guy and to demonize Miss Ross there. That's all that they had to fucking ask the whole entire fucking time. They just kept drilling and drilling about fucking drug use. And it's like, yo, get the fuck over yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole time of what they had to fucking talk about. And it's like, yo, just chill the fuck out, ask appropriate questions, and and chill the hell out. And I'll show this picture of the guy you didn't see. One of the paramedics was that's Seth Bravender, and then you have go over here. Then you had that's Derek Smith there. So yeah. So yeah. So they start asking her all these dirty ass fucking questions about that type of shit, and it was ridiculous. So then we get into Lieutenant, what is his name? Lieutenant what? Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman. So with that, Oh shit! I didn't get to show the video of Okay, so this is what I'll do. Unshare this, and I'm gonna play George Zimmerman. No, George Zimmerman, not George Zimmerman. Fuck George Zimmerman. I'll play Richard Zimmerman stuff after this plays, and then I'll get into
To
everything.
go visit my son's father, who was staying at Harbor Lights Salvation Army shelter.
I was pretty upset.
And I started kind of fussing in the corner of the lobby. And at one point, Floyd came to me. And Floyd has this great, deep Southern voice, raspy. He's like, sis, you okay, sis? And I wasn't okay. I said, no, I'm just waiting for my son's father. He said, well, can I pray with you? I was so tired. We've been through so much. My sons and I. And this kind person just to come up to me and say, can I pray with you? When I felt alone in this lobby. It was so sweet. At the time, on our first date, like most people do, we went over like our histories, and he told me he was from Houston. We like to go to, he lived right by Lake Makasca. We like to go down there a lot and enjoy the outdoors. We like to go to the sculpture garden and just, walk around. We went out to eat a lot. Because Lloyd loved to eat a lot. He's a big man, and it took a lot of energy to keep him going. And he loved food, and so did I. It was fun. It was an adventure always. Both Lloyd and I, our story. It's a classic story of how many people get addicted to opioids. We both suffered from chronic pain. Mine was in my neck and his was in his back. We both have prescriptions, but after prescriptions that were filled and we got addicted and tried really hard to break that addiction many times.
Then in March of 2020, you got some pills, right? You remember describing that?
Yes.
And you and Mr. Floyd.
I'm gonna pause that real fast. So the person talking right now is attorney Nelson. What's his last name? No, attorney Eric Nelson. So that's him asking this question right here. This is what I was talking about.
Both had those pills?
Yes.
And did you consume some of those pills?
I did.
Did they have the same effect on you as they did as your other types of opioids you've taken in the past?
No.
What was the effect this time? And what was different?
Usually, opioid to me is like it's a pain reliever. It's something that is, kind of relaxing, takes your pain away. The pill that time, it seemed like it was a really strong stimulant. I couldn't sleep all night. I felt very jittery.
You were quarantining together, spending a lot of time together in March, April, and May, correct?
Yes.
And for the majority of that time, Mr. Floyd was clean, right?
Yes.
And it was your belief that Mr. Floyd started using again about 2 weeks prior to his death, correct?
I noticed a change in his behavior, yes.
You recall telling the FBI that there would be times that he would just be up and bouncing around, and then there would be times that he would be like unintelligible.
I don't recall that, but
Would you disagree if I said that in the transcript? But that's
no, I wouldn't disagree.
The pills that we're talking about in May,
Yes.
I can't remember if you told me, did you see Mr. Floyd take any of those pills?
Yes, we took them together that time.
I'm sorry.
We did take them together that time.
And when he took those, obviously he didn't die, right?
No, he did not.
Did you see how they affected him?
He had a lot of energy.
And but he was okay after using them?
Yes, he was playing football, hanging out, eating. Just a normal day.
Instead, did he play a lot of basketball?
He played basketball too, but football was his thing.
All right, so like I said, all my videos are coming from the Star Tribune today. So so then we have Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman, and he stated in his testimony when it came to Derek Chauvin's actions, that he said that Derek Chauvin's actions was totally unnecessary. The defense then tried to use policing of the past from when when Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman was hired on as a police officer, which I think he said he got brought on in the 80s, to policing of today to justify Derek Chauvin's actions of killing George Floyd. But you could hear a pin drop after he said that Derek Chauvin's actions was totally unnecessary. You could hear a pin drop in that damn courtroom. And that was yesterday's. Yeah, that was yesterday or whatever. So I'll show Lieutenant Zimmerman's picture before I show the hold on, let me do that, and then let me come over here and do this. So yeah, that's Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman. So yeah, he basically deemed everything that Derek did as unnecessary, and it was very unnecessary. And but you know, we'll see how the outcome is after after that happens. So I'm gonna play this video or whatever.
How often do you get instruction on the use of force?
Once a year.
And how many officers have to go through that use of force training every year?
Every officer on the police department.
Have you ever, in all the years you've been working for the Minneapolis Police Department, been trained to kneel on the neck of someone who is handcuffed behind their back in a prone position?
No, I haven't.
Is that...
Y'all remember when I said Derek Chauvin was taking notes the whole time? The whole time in the case, he was jotting down shit of what everybody was saying. So I'm going to let this play some more.
That were done, would that be considered force?
Absolutely.
What level of force might that be?
That would be the top tier, the deadly force.
Why?
Because of the fact that if your knee is on a person's neck, that can kill them.
If you, as an officer, according to training, you handcuff somebody behind the back, what's your responsibility with regard to that person from that moment on?
That person is yours. He's your responsibility. His safety is your responsibility. His well-being and is your responsibility.
Once you handcuff somebody, does that affect the amount of force that you should consider using?
Absolutely.
How so?
Once a person is cuffed, the threat level goes down all the way, to they're cuffed. How can they really hurt you,
Well, certainly there could be circumstances when a cuffed person could still be combative.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But you getting injured is way down.
And if somebody who is handcuffed becomes less combative, does that change the amount of force that an officer is to use under policy?
Yes.
How so?
Well, if they become less combative, you may just have them sit down on a curb, or the idea is to calm the person down. And if they are not a threat to you at that point, you try to, help them so that they're not as upset as they may have been in the beginning.
Have you been trained on the prone position?
Yes.
And what has your training been specific to the prone position?
Well, once you secure or handcuff a person, you need to get them out of the prone position as soon as possible because it restricts their breathing.
When you handcuff somebody behind their back, well, as part of training, have you been handcuffed behind the back?
Yes.
And have you been trained on what happens to individuals when they're handcuffed behind the back?
Yes.
So when somebody is handcuffed behind their back, how does it affect them physically?
It stretches the muscles back through your chest, and it makes it more difficult to breathe.
And what has the training been with regard to the prone position?
Once a person is cuffed, you need to turn them on their side or have them sit up. You need to get them off their chest.
Why?
Because of as I had mentioned earlier, your muscles are pulling back when you're handcuffed. And if you're laying on your chest, that's constricting your breathing even more.
And as part of your training within the Minneapolis Police Department policies, is there an obligation to provide medical intervention when necessary?
Absolutely.
What is the general teaching that you get with regard to medical intervention?
Well, again, it's been that you need to provide medical care for a person that is in distress.
Based on your review of the body-worn camera videos of the incident,
Yes.
and directing your attention to that moment when Mr. Floyd is placed on the ground,
Yes.
what is your view of that use of force during that time period?
Totally unnecessary.
What do you mean?
Well, first of all, pulling him down to the ground, face down, and putting your knee on the neck for that amount of time is just uncalled for. I saw no reason why the officers felt they were in danger, if that's what they felt.
And that's what they would have to feel to be able to use that kind of force.
So, in your opinion, should that restraint have stopped once he was handcuffed and prone on the ground?
Absolutely.
All right. So you heard it from Lieutenant Zimmerman's mouth himself of why he thought it was, what he thought about it. He said it was unnecessary, and he gave you the reason why. So I think that's all the videos I have. Yes, that was the last one. So I can get out of here. So yeah, that last part, of which I showed, that it basically, I don't really have to say, well, yes, I do. So basically, what another, I think it was another lieutenant. I think his name was Lieutenant James Ruggles. If not, another guy. He basically stated if they thought that George Floyd had um drugs in his system, then they restrained him, and then they put that type of restraint on him to the neck that um since he's in their custody and their care and they do that, then it becomes a health risk. And as we know, it was a health risk, and then George died. So I feel like that this is an open and shut case. So I'm gonna get through some other stuff. Been on for 2 hours and almost 2 hours and 50 minutes. So um, all of these are real quick, and some of them I don't even have to go through. So the Police Federation and the police union is funding Derek Chauvin's defense. So basically, the Fraternal Order of Police, Police Union, and the Federation of Police, which I think is the Fraternal Order of Police, is basically funding his side. They're paying for his lawyers and whatever. And then, the prosecution, I think, works for the state. So, but I feel like if the trial, if the defense side wins the case or the trial, this is going to set a precedent in policing across America, as we've seen with other cases and police is getting off. Yeah, it'll be like any other day, but if we can at least get one, if we can get the rest of the motherfuckers that have done these heinous acts and to go to jail like Amber Geiger did with the Botham John case. Um but yeah, like we really need to really pay attention to this case, and we need to what I mean, on the day to day we have to basically look at this case and at least talk about it with family members or friends or stuff like that. If you have kids, talk to them, talk to them about it as well. Like, like they're going to grow up and see this. So you got to at least allow them to know this stuff. Okay, so the last thing I got for y'all, and the last thing I got for y'all is what is going to happen with the other three police officers. What's going to happen with Thomas Lane, J. Alexander Keon, and Officer Tuttle? because they had involvement with this as well. They had something to do with this as well. Um, they need to be prosecuted, and they need to either, they'll have to go through trial. And I won't say anything else other than that. But they were in this murder as well. They helped in it. They need to go to jail. They all need to be sentenced to life plus 80 years. That's what needs to happen. And that's really all that I really got for y'all today. I know it's a little longer than usual, but I thank y'all for watching. Again, man, pay attention to the case and make sure y'all you know, if y'all have anything to talk about, or if you want me to cover this, I think I might cover this again. I probably won't do a long I probably won't do a full video on next week, but I will mention it. I will mention what I've seen within the next couple weeks until it's done. It will be a segment in my show, but hey man, I gotta go. I'll be back on next Friday with Marcus Speaks Play, where I play some video games. Check out my video I did yesterday, episode 1 of Marcus Speaks Play, and I'm still thinking of a story to tell for Marcus Speaks Short, so that'll be coming pretty soon. But as is commonplace, I will be on at least twice a week for Marcus Speaks Play and Marcus Speaks Live podcast. So, like I said, man, I thank y'all for watching, man. Please have a good day with whatever that you do. And yeah, man, I'm out. Peace.